So I've had a hearing loss since I was very young. It was first picked up when I was about 8 years old, but it has been decreasing pretty steadily over the years. So I've been wearing hearing aids since I was a child, and they really helped me get through everything. And up until the end of high school, I barely even noticed that I had a hearing loss because of the support that I was getting from the hearing aids. It was a genetic thing. My father had the same hearing loss, but his wasn't picked up until he was about 35, and he had so many problems that he didn't know that were related to hearing loss. Like, he was antisocial, he didn't feel comfortable at parties or in unfamiliar situations, and it wasn't until it was picked up that he realised that it was simply because he had a hearing loss. He had a different experience of the world that other people did. And for me, being able to have that support as I grew up, it meant that I didn't develop those same issues. I was a very active, social, loud, creative, full of life child, despite the fact that I had more than half of my hearing gone at that stage. It was shortly after high school that I really started to notice the loss for the first time. I think it had another little drop at that point, and I was going into university and into the workforce, and I was looking for more support at that stage, and I was really struggling for a very long time, and I eventually got to the point where I was resigned about my hearing loss, and I thought, right, this is it, this is something I have to deal with, it's never going to get any better, it's going to keep dropping, and I'll never be a normal person ever again. And shortly after that, I found myself in Melbourne, and I needed to find a new audiologist, so I got in touch with Ear and Hearing, and was quickly reassured in my first visit that that wasn't the way that my life had to be, and that I could improve my hearing, and that there were new options out there, new technology available, and that they would support me all the way through on that journey to restoring my hearing to the best that it could be. So when my previous hearing aids had really reached the end of their life, I'd had them for about 6 years, I started to notice my quality of life dropping severely. I had moved to Australia from New Zealand, and I was in a new working environment, and I was getting promotions, and I was starting to feel like I couldn't actually fulfill on my role because I was really starting to struggle. And I work in sales, I work face to face, I communicate with people every single day, and not just my quality of life was dropping, but you could really see it in my results as well, as a salesperson and as a manager. And that was the point that I thought, I've got to do something about this. I'm possibly going to lose my job if I can't make this better. So that was when I started looking for an audiologist in Melbourne, and I found Ear and Hearing Australia. And I was fitted with new hearing aids, and we discussed all of my needs and what I needed out of them, which the best brand options would be, and eventually went with one that suited the sort of environment that I would be in. I had a lot of challenges I had to face. The fact that I'm young and I'm in social situations a lot. I have a large social network, and I'm often at events that are very loud, whether it be for work or for leisure. And I don't want to miss out on those just because I have a hearing loss. I want to be able to do all the things that my friends and colleagues do. And yeah, I'm very social by nature as well, which is only because of the support that I've gotten from hearing aids and being able to actually communicate with people and have a good time when you go out. I don't think people can really understand what it's like to be sitting in a group of people and not be able to follow conversation until you've experienced that yourself. And when you're noticing that everybody else is picking up on what's being said but you're not, you've got a problem. And I just thought that it couldn't be solved. I thought it's gone too far. I've gotten to the point where my hearing loss has moved into severe hearing loss, and you'd think, what can you do for that when it's that great? But I was fitted with these new hearing aids, and it was really a process. They weren't perfect straight away, but I was supported and coming back and having them adjusted every time I wanted something changed. I probably came back about 8 times, and I was really supported in that. My audiologist was happy to listen to my concerns, listen to what was going on for me, the sort of environments that I was dealing with, and how I best needed my hearing aids to be adjusted. And I've gotten to the point now where I've stopped noticing my hearing loss again, as it was a few years ago, and I never thought that I'd be back at that point. So what would I advise people with hearing loss to do? Get it checked out, or suspected hearing loss, get it checked. Once you know that there is something going on with your hearing, you can make the appropriate decision at that point, but get it checked out, and then find an audiologist who's going to support you in the journey to improving your hearing through the technology that's available. There's a lot of people out there who I think feel like this is a problem that can't be solved, or they're embarrassed because it's something that only older people experience perhaps, or there's no one else around. And as someone with hearing loss, I know that I hide it a lot, so I don't think people could possibly know just how many people out there do suffer from this. And I think the more people that were open about it and could talk about it and share what it's like having a hearing loss, then the better. My quality of life has changed just through being able to share with people and meeting new people and saying, hey, look, I'm a normal person, everything else about me is fine, but I really struggle to hear sometimes. And if you could just take that into account, then our relationship is going to be a lot easier, and people are really accommodating of that. The thing that made the biggest difference for me was finding an audiologist who was willing to take all the steps needed to get the maximum out of the hearing aids that I had fitted, and I really didn't find that until I came to Ear and Hearing Australia. It doesn't start with the hearing aid. Well, it does start with the hearing aid, but it doesn't end with the hearing aid. You need to finely tune it to where your hearing is at, and the sort of situations that you're going to find yourself in on a day-to-day basis. And all your other needs, whether you're talking on the phone a lot, whether you're face-to-face with people, whether you're someone who likes to watch films at the cinema or at home, or someone who plays music, guitar, piano, whatever it may be. You have so many different needs, and the new technology enables you to have different functions, settings, volumes. You can have a special setting for being able to sing over the top of playing an instrument. You can lower some frequencies and raise others. It's just so complex, you can't even begin to imagine all the thought that goes into these little pieces of technology that just change people's lives. So that's what I would suggest. Get it checked out. Find a good audiologist, and most of all, have patience. Have patience, because I think for me, since getting my newest pair of hearing aids, it's been about a 6 to 12 month process before I really started to go, all right, I'm settled, I'm comfortable, I can hear. But I wouldn't change that for anything. Otherwise, if I was still where I was at 12 months ago, you know, who knows, I might have lost my job, I might be in a totally different situation. Yeah. So I've had audiologists my whole life, and like, they've been great. I've been supported. It was mostly through the public health system. After I came through that system and was in the workforce and looking for my own personal audiologist, I found Ear and Hearing Australia on Google or somewhere like that. And I really, I took a punt and just, it was the first one I called, and I have just felt so blessed ever since I walked through the door. And I met Mo, and I looked around the place and I saw these awards and recognition for him on the wall, and I thought, I think I've walked into the right place. I was a client that probably needed a lot of attention. I'm younger, I've got all of these, a whole range of situations and this lifestyle that needed to be accommodated, as well as the fact that I've been dealing with this for a very long time. So I was very specific about my needs and choosy, and you know, I wouldn't put up with anything subpar. I wanted my hearing back, and Mo just was so accommodating of that and just knew right away what I needed and how to go about providing that for me. I would recommend Ear and Hearing Australia to anyone with hearing loss. I would recommend them above any other audiologist, because they really take the time to provide the best service that they can possibly provide. It is not about, you know, making a profit or supporting a particular brand. This is about caring for people who have a hearing loss and giving them the support that they need. And that's what I saw from the minute I first walked in the door. And the ongoing support, you know, I would recommend to anyone to keep going back, use that support. I had 12 months of free service. I could come back whenever I wanted, and not only would they be willing to see me again and adjust the aids if need be, but I was also provided with some services on site in terms of changing equipment or providing me with extra products, things like that, things that I wasn't able to get from audiologists previously. They normally needed to be sent away for weeks at a time or something like that if I ever needed a repair, and I was really supported in that. And it was mostly instantaneous service whenever I needed it, which was it's just exactly what you need as someone with hearing loss. You know, you can't go without your hearing aids for weeks at a time. It just doesn't work. So yeah, I really thank Ear and Hearing Australia for that, and I'd recommend them to anyone.